Donald Trump is losing it as he just faced a massive protest in Washington, D.C. he did not expect from his own former supporters. That's right, the MAHA contingent, the Make America Healthy Again crew. Lots of them were Obama supporters previously, then they shifted to RFK Jr., then were moved into kind of the Trump MAGA MAHA world. They launched a massive protest yesterday in Washington, D.C., while there was a Supreme Court case where the company Bayer, which acquired Monsanto, was seeking immunity from the United States Supreme Court for Roundup, which is the kind of brand name for glyphosate, the herbicide which has been linked to lots of different cancers, especially non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and other very serious ailments. And you may recall that RFK Jr. and Donald Trump during the campaign ran on a platform that they were going to ban glyphosate, which they said was one of the most dangerous carcinogens out there, causing so many deaths. RFK Jr. made this a major part of his phony career, saying that he was going to stand up against these companies that were poisoning people. And then you'll recall back in February, Donald Trump signed an executive order using the Defense Production Act to try to give Roundup, to give Bayer all of this immunity for claims based on the use of glyphosate, and actually to prioritize the use for glyphosate. So that pissed off all of the MAHA moms and all of the MAHA people. They're like, we thought we were all against these herbicides and pesticides and all of these things that are causing cancer. And Trump, you lied to us. RFK, you lied to us. Separately, that executive order was a high profile event, right? You probably recall that. But then the Trump regime also submitted what's called an amicus brief, or a Friends of the Court brief, to the United States Supreme Court, where yesterday there was oral arguments and a very big Supreme Court case that could also give Bayer a huge amount of immunity under a federal statute called the Fungicide and Rodenticide Act, the FIFRA. And Monsanto, which is now owned by Bayer, was arguing to the Supreme Court that there's something called federal preemption, where because they claim that they comply with federal warnings, they don't have to comply with state failure to warn rules and laws. And so when they failed to warn that their product, Roundup, that's glyphosate, was causing all of this cancer, they're saying, well, it's fine. The federal government said that we're cool and we can do it, so you can't sue us under state law. So all of these lawsuits against Bayer, formerly Monsanto, when Monsanto was acquired by Bayer, could be dismissed if the Supreme Court rules that there is federal preemption blocking all of these state law claims. I just wanted to give you that background to explain what the protest was all about. So you had all of these former Trump supporters, right? The MAHA moms, as they were called, and the other MAHA people, by the way, joined by Democrats. MAHA Democrats and some Republicans as well, like Thomas Massie, also MAGA Republican former Congresswoman, or former MAGA Republican Congresswoman. Marjorie Taylor Greene was out there. She wasn't there. She was there digitally. She was saying Trump turned his back on MAHA by signing an executive order to protect glyphosate. But it's actually more than that. He also submitted the amicus brief to the Supreme Court for federal preemption to block state failure to warn laws to hold Bayer, previously Monsanto, accountable. And you see all these people. It was a fascinating sight to see. You had Democrats out there, everybody from Justin Jones, Tennessee, Democrat state representative, to Thomas Massie, to the MAHA moms, all protesting Donald Trump. And I just think back to when RFK Jr. would post things like this. This was June 14th, 2024. He posts, "The herbicide glyphosate is one of the likely culprits in America's chronic disease epidemic. Much more widely used here than in Europe. Shockingly, much of our exposure comes from its use as a desiccant on wheat, not as an herbicide. From there, it goes straight into our bodies. My USDA will ban that practice. That's what he was running for president. My USDA will ban that practice. Dude, you not only did not ban the practice, you and Trump have done executive orders to increase the practice, to promote it even more, to basically call glyphosate a necessity for American agriculture in general, and to encourage more of it, to encourage more cancer. It's not only didn't you block it, you're promoting it. So that's what this protest was all about.
I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of MeidasTouch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popak Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popak Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states, and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popak Firm today at 1-877-POPAK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopakfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popak Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.
It's called the People versus Poison protest. It was led by Vani Hari. She goes by like the Food Babe, I think is her name, or there's some name like that she uses. She was a former Obama supporter. She got pulled into this RFK world, and I think she and all these MAHA moms are realizing just how phony and what a con artist RFK Jr. has been his whole life, always been a con artist. You may remember articles like this when that executive order came out from Trump and RFK promoting glyphosate. MAHA moms threatened to turn this car around as RFK Jr. flips on pesticide. MAHA members call movement a sham after Kennedy supports glyphosate order. Members of Make America Health Again movement are in open revolt after RFK Jr. publicly backed Trump's executive order Wednesday that would increase domestic production of glyphosate, a pesticide the MAHA movement and Kennedy have railed against. Vani Hari, an ally of Kennedy who goes by Food Babe, I was right about the name, told the Washington Post she was left speechless by the move. You also had other headlines like this from Mother Jones. MAHA went ballistic over Trump's glyphosate order. There is a level of anger and frustration like I've never witnessed before, said a conservative wellness influencer. Imagine their reaction when they learn that Roundup is being sprayed heavily right now in America's forests. And Vani Hari reposted that. She also reposted this. MAHA influencers, Democratic senators, and cancer patients agree on one thing. You should be able to sue Bayer. Because remember, this Supreme Court is all about Bayer saying under this federal law, they deserve immunity where there shouldn't be any lawsuits against them. All right, let's zoom in right now on this protest so you can see for yourself kind of what went down. Here you have Vani Hari. She's speaking at this protest, flanked by lots of people. I mean, there were thousands of people there in general, but this was one section of the protest. And she goes, we're here for one reason, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Donald Trump signing an executive order and then submitting an amicus brief to the Supreme Court that promotes glyphosate. Here, play this clip.
Right now, inside that building, Monsanto Bayer will be arguing for the right to poison us and not be held accountable. Let me say that again. They want to give us cancer and get away with it. We are here to make sure that does not happen.
And we are not going to leave here quietly. You're going to hear from farmers, scientists, lawmakers, and health leaders from across the country. We have all come here to take a stand. We see exactly what's happening, and we're done pretending this is normal. And let's be very clear. You cannot claim to care about health while protecting poison. You cannot tell Americans to eat real food while protecting the cancer-causing chemicals sprayed on it.
More from Vani Hari right here at that protest. Let's play it.
Families inside with one of the most evil corporations in the world.
Let's be honest. We wouldn't be here right now if President Trump didn't sign that executive order. We wouldn't be here right now if they weren't inside this building arguing on Monsanto's behalf. We wouldn't be here right now if they didn't submit that amicus brief and that recommendation to the Supreme Court to look at this case when they've lost all over this country. You cannot stand with families and do that. We would not be here right now if Monsanto Bayer wasn't pushing legal shields through every branch of government, including the Farm Bill today at Congress. They made this their moment. Now we make it ours.
Then you heard from Alex Clark. She's the host of a Turning Point USA show. I mean, she's TPUSA. This is a Turning Point person protesting. Mind blown, right? Turning Point protesting Trump. Play this clip.
We are asking one simple question. Why does Bayer deserve protection, but American families and farmers don't? A country that can't protect its children from corporate poison is not a free country, it's a captured one. In the land of the free, we're told that we have choices about our health. Which doctor to see, which sunscreen to buy, and even whether or not to vaccinate. But when it comes to carcinogenic pesticides, the government tells us you don't have a choice. You will eat it, you will drink it, you will breathe it.
Okay. And then you have Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones. Here's what he had to say.
Hey, y'all, we're here at the U.S. Supreme Court today because if we're going to make America healthy again, we have to take on the corporations making us sick. And so we're here today rallying with farmers, community members, mothers, advocates who are saying that this is about the people versus the poison. Today at the Supreme Court, Bayer Monsanto, a foreign chemical corporation, is trying to get immunity in this case of Monsanto v. Darnell, immunity when our farmers and people get sick from their pesticides. They tried to push this through at the state level. We fought it in Tennessee. House Bill 809 were able to defeat it this session. And so now they've sent armies of lawyers and lobbyists here at the Supreme Court and also across the street at the U.S. Congress trying to either get this immunity provision put into the Farm Bill, the National Farm Bill, or to get immunity at the Supreme Court today. This is not about left versus right, but it's about right versus wrong. We must not allow them to poison our people, to poison our constitutional right to sue them when people get sick, to poison this nation all for profit. Again, this is not about left versus right, but this is about choosing the people over the profits of these foreign chemical corporations, and we must stand together.
Then you had Thomas Massey, right? What a crew here. Thomas Massey, here's what he had to say. Play this clip.
Americans are under attack. There are four fronts to this war with the German company. They're attacking our executive branch, our legislative branch at the state level, our legislative branch here in Washington, D.C., and the courts. And what do they want? They want get out of court free cards. We're not going to give it to them. Was the EPA established to protect the environment and the people? Or was it established to protect foreign corporations when they harm the environment and the people? Listen, we are under attack on all of these fronts. My colleague Shelley Pingree and I are working in the House of Representatives on one front. We've offered legislation called the No Immunity for Glyphosate Act. but it shouldn't even be necessary. We haven't repealed the 10th Amendment. We haven't repealed the 7th Amendment, your right to a jury trial. We haven't repealed the First Amendment, the right of people to say what's in a product. These things have not been repealed, but we're in jeopardy today. Those amendments to the Constitution, those three elements of the Bill of Rights are in jeopardy here. Is the Supreme Court today, are they going to gag state judges? Are they going to disband state juries? Are they going to shutter the state courts where justice should be served? And if they do, are they proposing to hear these cases on their own? No. They're proposing that nobody gets any justice. This is regulatory capture. It is corrupt. The White House Chief of Staff worked for a lobbying firm that accepted money from Monsanto Bayer, and that is wrong. That is why we have an executive order that we are fighting. The federal government, and especially the executive branch, do not have this power to issue these get-out-of-court-free cards, and we're going to fight it. Thank you, and God bless.
Then Vani Hari posted this from the Agricultural Committee markup. She was there with to see this House Rules Committee bill at the Rules Committee, rather. And one of the things that MAGA Republicans are trying to do is they're trying to slip into some of this legislation, more immunity for Bayer. So it's not enough that Trump has the executive order, not enough that Trump submitted an amicus brief. This is they're like a full-fledged campaign pro-glyphosate right now. Not as much that Trump's arguing for the Supreme Court for federal preemption to block all state law. They want to build an additional federal immunity right now, like permanent immunity written in basically for Bayer right now. So that's what this hearing was. The MAHA crew was in attendance at this hearing, and Democratic Congress member McGovern was questioning MAGA Republican G.T. Thompson, MAGA Republican Congress member Thompson, who's trying to put in there immunity language into the agriculture bill. And in the Rules Committee, he's being called out for putting this into the legislation by the Democratic congressman, is calling out the Republicans. Play this clip.
Let me start with a simple question. Do you believe that glyphosate is safe?
My opinion is not important. What is opinion is the opinion of the scientists. This is an issue that has come down between emotion.
Well, the World Health Organization, for example,
so I point to the EPA,
says it's a probable carcinogen. You do believe it is safe, right?
I do believe it's safe.
I'm just going to say, for the record, Mr. Chairman, there are people in this audience here, some of them who have been victims of glyphosate, people who have advocated on behalf of people who have been victimized by glyphosate, well, people who've gotten cancer. Do you have any idea about how much money Crop Life America, the pesticide industry lobbyists, donate to members of Congress on a yearly basis?
I don't.
I mean, do you take money from them?
I earn support from people based on what I believe in agriculture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've taken $32,500 from them since 2019. I don't know how much other members of the committee and other members of Congress have gotten. But the bottom line, to come up here and to say this is much ado about nothing, that this is not liability protection, it is insulting, quite frankly, because anybody who reads this knows what's going on here.
And then Vani Hari posted this video reminding people of what RFK Jr. used to say about glyphosate and how Rogan was talking about about his glyphosate position. Here, play this clip.
We shouldn't be talking about glyphosate. We should be talking about Roundup. And if you read all of these documents that we've gotten from Monsanto and see all the sneaky stuff that they do, one of the most fearful things for them is that somebody is going to do testing on Roundup. Because even in their most private emails to each other, they're talking about nobody's ever tested this, and we know that the formulation is much, much more toxic than the glyphosate. Because the formulation has all these surfactants in it and adjuvants in it that are intended to allow the glyphosate to slip through the bark of the plant and through the coating of the plant. And they allow also those same chemicals also enable that molecule to penetrate the blood-brain barrier and get into the human system, and they're toxic themselves.
We need poison so that we can make food, which is so crazy, especially when you consider the fact that all these other countries don't use glyphosate and feed their population. So how are they doing it, and what do we need to do to get back on that track? And you know, I had RFK Jr. in here to discuss it, and he was very crestfallen when he was explaining that there was an executive order passed and that, you know, he was working very hard to try to eliminate glyphosate. And something that he discussed in, you know, previous meetings that he and I had, that was one of his primary concerns. Glyphosate is toxic. It's terrible. It's just completely awful for your body, yet the use of it is ubiquitous in agriculture, industrial agriculture. And he was trying very hard to try to eliminate it. And then the government passes this executive order because in their estimation, exactly, pressure.
Right now, inside that building, Monsanto Bayer will be arguing for the right to poison us and not be held accountable. Let me say that again. They want to give us cancer and get away with it. We are here to make sure that does not happen.
And then I'm reminded about the recent hearing where RFK Jr. was cross-examined by Democratic Congresswoman Hassan. And here's how that went. Here, play this clip.
You guys helped create this problem over the past 30 years.
And you just told the big corporation that they don't even have liability for it anymore.
He is dealing with a national security vulnerability where the Chinese could shut off our food supply in a single day.
So before,
that's a good situation.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to yield my time, but I'm just going to say this. You have now been changing your testimony over time about this.
I have not changed my testimony.
You said earlier you were displeased with this. You tried to talk the president out of it.
I did.
And now you're just fully supportive of a huge corporation having no liability. Thank you.
I sued that corporation and got $11 billion from them, and it put them on the edge of bankruptcy.
Right. And now you're just folding right in front of them. Thank you.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thank you all so much for watching.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.